Hi, and welcome to this presentation. My name is Alyssa Ward, and I teach in the Department of Kinesiology. I have been teaching there since 2008. I am also the intramural director on campus. I've been doing that since 2012. As a fun fact, we have between 500 and 600 students every semester participating in our intramurals with on-campus activities and leagues and tournaments and sports and different exercise classes. So today we're going to talk about fun and creative movement activities, quarantine style, and of course it is going to be kids included. And I know that everybody's experience with quarantine is drastically different. Some people are quarantined with very few people in very small and confined spaces. Some people are quarantined with a lot of people in very small and confined spaces. Some people are quarantined in many different ways. So this is a picture of my three kids. We've got a boy, Rowan, who's 4, and then 2 girls. Brisa is 7 and Jasmine is 17. And then behind that glass door there, that glass window, is their great grandma, who is 89, and she is quarantined and not able to come out and hang out with us. So that is just kind of the opening picture of how life right now is just drastically different than it normally is. So we all are in different situations, and we all are trying to do life in this new way of life. But it's important to assess, where do you live? Who are you living with? What space do you have access to? What is your schedule? What are the schedules of those around you? And then also, what are the basic needs of those around you? Maybe you have one kid who wants or needs to be active every hour at least. And then while you have another kid who maybe needs to be reminded to stand up and move around, or maybe without the reminder, they would stay stagnant on the couch for 8+ hours. So what are the different needs of the people that you are living with, or the different desires? What are your own goals regarding your own physical activity? And when can this realistically take place? So for my own self, I have found that if I do not get most of my physical activity in before 8 or 9 a.m., it probably is not going to happen unless it's in the form of a nice leisurely walk or scooter ride or bike ride, which is fine. But I know that, and so for myself, I know that, okay, if I'm going to do this today, it needs to happen in the morning before the rest of our day begins. So what will work best for your family? So the American College of Sports Medicine and the CDC recommend that adults get 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity every week, and that we're doing 2 times a week of some sort of muscle strengthening, body weight bearing activities. On the other hand, though, we're trying to get in 30 minutes per day, and it's recommended that our kids are active at least 1 hour per day. And this does not have to be an intentional exercise, but it can also include when they're being active during unguided and unstructured play time as well. So assess your situation. Where do you live? How many kids are living in the home with you? What are their ages? What are their likes and dislikes? And what are the things that they would be more likely to do? And how can you get them involved in what you're doing? So how do we do it all? How do we fit in our homeschooling, our own work, meals, cleaning, napping, everything else? Oh my goodness. And then also remembering to be physically active each day. So the American Heart Association recommends that we get no more than 1 to 2 hours of screen time a day. And we're all going, wait, what? How is that even possible? We're doing screen time right now, right? So our days now look like this: Zoom meetings for preschool, Zoom meetings for high school, Zoom meetings for first grade, the cat is in Zoom, dance lessons are on Zoom, Oprah's reading my daughter a book. So we're always online. Because we're always online, how can we get moving? So where do we even begin? Where do we start? What is feasible in our schedules right now? What would be enjoyed or maybe tolerated by the entire or most of our family? What do we already enjoy doing, and how could we continue to implement those things? So I'm going to go off of this infographic that the American Heart Association has posted, and they've got 25 suggestions for some simple little like brain breaks of these things that we can do just to stand up and move just for a little bit, to take our eyes away from the screen, to refocus so that we can do better when we are back on that screen. So before we do that, they also have some suggestions on how to how to move more as a family. So I've summarized these suggestions, but the first one, plan TV or screen watching in advance. So make sure that you know what you're going to watch and when you're going to end that show. And when it ends, you actually get up and you go. You don't continue to go next, whatever comes on next. Also, number 2, practice what you preach. If you only want your children on their screens during their school time, then you should also try to be practicing the same amount of, screen time hours if possible. I'm going to skip to this last one. Be active with your kids. I have found in our house that when my husband is joining us, everybody's way more excited. When we all do it as a family, we're way more excited and way more likely to do it. And then these 2 I really liked, and again, this is just for my family what has worked the best, was that we have identified free time for activity during the week. So every day around 9, we start school. And then we know that at around 11, we're going to stop and we're going to take like a PE break, even if it's not actual PE, but we're going to do some sort of movement activity together. Maybe it's a nature walk, which means walking around our block and collecting weeds and rocks and such. Maybe it's a bike ride, maybe it's a scooter ride, or maybe we play a quick game of, I don't know, dribbling a ball or doing gymnastics, or we do an actual activity together. But we're making a plan to add physical activity into our daily routine, and we're being very intentional and very mindful about this. So we're making sure that we're not staring at the screen, that we're not sitting without moving for too many minutes in a row all throughout the day. So whether it's a quick brain break of just standing up and stretching or jumping and then getting back down, or of, okay, everybody needs to be outside in 5 minutes and we're going to do whatever it is that we're going to do. So I'd like to go through some of the suggestions, the 25 ways to get moving at home. I'm going to go in a different order, and then throughout this, I've been collecting pictures and video clips of my own family and what we've been doing. I'm also on a text thread with my kinesiology department, and so with the permission of other faculty members and staff members, I'm going to be showing just some ideas of what my group of friends and teachers have been doing here in our kinesiology department. So starting with 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, we have been doing a lot of balloon activities. The last few weeks when we had a lot of rain, when we were inside a lot, we moved furniture around, we played balloon tag, whatever that is. We've been making up a lot of games. We've been playing a lot of indoor balloon volleyball. We had one black eye, but that has been the only catastrophe so far. But there are things that you can do inside, and so assess the situation. What do you need to move? Where are dangerous areas? Where should you not play? What are you okay with doing in the space that you have? And what do you have that would be normally an outdoor game, but that could also be done then inside? Another one that we've been doing a lot so far this time, and this is actually something that a lot of our college students do. They'll take out a deck of cards and they'll come up with maybe some plyometric activities or some body weight activities. Maybe they'll do planks, jumping, jump lunges, split jump lunges, squats, push-up, tricep dips, and such. And then when you flip a card, if it's 7, you do 7 of that. If it's 10, you do 10 of that. If it's an ace, you could do 15 of that. We've been doing something similar, but more silly kindergarten, pre-K, locomotor type activities. So you can see we've done a lot of dancing. We've done a lot of animal mimicking and doing movements like that. And so we'll each choose a card, and then one of the kids will choose a locomotor movement, and then whatever card number we get, we have to do it that many times. And it ends up being silly, and they end up not necessarily doing what they said they would do, but we're getting a lot of energy out. And so indoor space might be extremely limited. I have a lot of friends who are limited in their home space. They're in a smaller square footage of apartments, and so we have been texting each other some workouts that can be done in the space of their own body. So if they were to lay down on the ground, they could do their entire workout within that space because of what we're confined to. It's challenging, but it's also quite doable. So what are some other maybe indoor relays or safer gymnastic type activities, yoga, stretching, balancing games, maybe make a mathematical game out of it, a mathematical change or more? What can you do in your own home that could help you to be more physically active? So these are some of the things that we have done. We have done a lot of relays where we'll move the coffee table out of the way. get some bottles of water or some cans of seltzer water. And we're doing, various movement activities, balancing activities, creative movements. The one on the left there, they were actually trying to put away all of their stuffed animals, and I turned it into a relay. So what kinds of things could you do in relay form? And you see our 17-year-old joined in on this as well. Okay, so back to the 25 ways to get moving at home. So number 14, 15, 16, and 17. Sometimes we don't have time to stand up and do, an entire 30 or 45-minute workout, but sometimes you just need to get up and move. And so you can see that middle video there, that's Dr. Gooden and his family utilizing the stairs. The one of my boy, he grabbed a tub and said, "Hey, mommy, can I race in this tub?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" So we're being creative. Maybe you do frog jumps. Maybe you're doing standing mountain climbers. Maybe you're doing balancing activities. Number 16 here, we've done a lot of balancing challenges where we'll challenge each other. How long can you balance on one foot? Then put your hand on your nose, then put your hand on your nose and close your eyes. Silly things like that, but things that are getting us away from our screen just long enough that we can refocus. Maybe, we go to the bathroom, get a snack, get some water, do a quick little brain break, and then when we get back to the screen, we're able to do it better. Some other ideas here. This is from Rhea, who works in the kines department. Her niece traced her hands and feet, and then they put them kind of obstacle course style, and they had to get from one end of the hallway to the other, and you can move it around. So let your kids get involved. Let them be the creators of whatever the challenges and the games are. And sometimes them creating it takes up a lot of time, and maybe that's good time for you to have a parent break. Okay, here's going back to number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'd like to look at number 4, reading while standing up. I have learned that I do better when I'm moving. I have kind of like a self-diagnosed restless leg syndrome, and so I enjoy moving quite a bit. And so when I'm reading, if I'm reading while I'm stretching, or if I'm reading while I'm standing, or if I'm reading while I'm walking, or if I'm reading a page and then I do something active, that helps me to focus better. Maybe you're not like that, but maybe you are. Maybe your children are like that. The one that we have done a lot of, though, dance parties. So the next slide that I'm going to show you is actually a little bit embarrassing because my 17-year-old, who is quite into TikTok and dancing, she has recruited us to learn some TikToks with her. I don't know a lot about TikTok. I'm not necessarily advocating it, but I do know that dancing is an incredibly fantastic form of exercise, especially if you find enjoyment in it. So this next one that I'm going to show you is a TikTok done by Dr. Jeff Sullivan, our department chair, and then one of my own family. And then the one in the middle, our 7-year-old does not have TikTok, but she really enjoys dancing if we are not in the room. So she will sometimes take my phone with permission, and she'll make some dance videos just by recording on the camera, and then she comes back later and we look at it together. So remember, this is kind of embarrassing, but I'm sharing with you what we've been doing. So dancing is a fantastic way to get your wiggles out. It's a good way to be together as a family, to be silly. I mean, this took us hours and hours and hours to learn, several days. But again, I don't know a ton about TikTok, but I know that there are lots of little tutorials for dancing. And if that's the kind of thing that your family would do, then hooray, you should go for it. Okay, heading outdoors. This is a picture. It's not the best quality, I apologize, but a picture of Professor Ann Davis's house and the people she is quarantined with. And she's turned her backyard into like a circuit station. Some of you have participated in her classes that she teaches at Point Loma, and this is pretty similar. So outdoor space. What space do you have available? And if you don't, what of these activities could you do maybe inside? For some intentional exercises, for some movement activities, maybe even just going on a simple nature walk. So with our littles, we have been doing a lot of just get your energy out. So what are some things that you could spend some time building and being little engineers, practicing your hopping skills, practicing your balancing skills, coordination skills, and then of course letting you destroy things because people like to destroy things. So here's an example of something that Monique and Brandon Sawyer from Nursing and Kinesiology Department, they have been doing this. We do not have a basketball hoop or a basketball court available to us, but my children love bouncing balls and throwing them and whatnot. So we got out a ladder and we made a bucket ball game. Truth be told, I think this lasted all of like 30 to 90 seconds actually playing bucket ball. But they had a blast climbing up and down the ladder, and the bucket fell down a lot, and the ball was bouncing everywhere. So it was an activity that wasn't bucket ball, but it was an activity that they really enjoyed, and there was a lot of laughter. And I would say it was a pretty safe activity as well. So what kind of creative things can you do with what you already have at your home? Okay, back to some of the ideas from the American Heart Association. So again, what are you able to do while you're reading? Could you do wall sits? Could you do some quick or intentional or some slow mindful breathing and yoga? Do more stretching? What are things that you can do that allow you to just take a break from the screen for a little bit? So when the weather is good, we have been doing a lot of bike rides. So I'm really, really thankful, and we're really fortunate to have a bike for all of our kids. The one on the left is Dr. Gooden and his family. The one on the right is my family. But we've been doing a lot of bike rides, even if it's just, hey, everybody throw your shoes on. We're going just around the block and we're back in, 3 to 5 minutes. Or if they're a lot longer bike rides, but they're really good, and we just feel better when we're outside for a little while. Okay, maybe you don't have a lot of space, or maybe you don't have enough bikes for everybody, but you want to create some more things. So this was kind of another building day. So the one on the left is, again, Dr. Brandon and Monique Sawyer. They created a ramp, a scooter ramp. The one up top, those are my children. They built their own kind of balance beam ramp-ish thing. And then the one on bottom, Dr. Gooden and his family created an actual ramp for their kids. But what are some things that maybe you could do a building project that, again, involves some math or some physics or something, let the kids take ownership of some of the things that you deem are safe and creative and are getting your family outside. Okay, moving on to some actual at-home workouts. So there are a lot of things that you can do in a very small space. So I'll start with this one that I'm doing. So remember I said I have a couple of friends where we're passing workouts together, and they have very limited space. And so I did it in a really small area to show that you could do an entire moderate intensity to high intensity type of interval training workout without any equipment. Here, the one in the middle, I'm pretty sure that Dr. Sullivan's family is doing a beach body workout, which is a free workout right now. There are a lot of online services that are offering various workouts for free. There's the Beachbody, Peloton has them, P90X is doing them. There's so many available on YouTube and such that are free right now that would maybe get you started in the right direction. And then the one here on the left is Professor Davis's Quarantine Crew. Here again, so what are some other brain break ideas that maybe you could do while you are cooking or before you're putting the kids to bed? Maybe you all do some lunges from the bathroom all the way to the bedroom or something like that. Again, just giving them a quick break from what they're doing before we get back to whatever it is that you need to do. So at-home workouts with your littles. So children also can be participating in the types of workouts. And maybe you don't all have the luxury of having an at-home gym like Dr. Gooden does, but he's built a little gym, and so his family members and his children are joining in with some actual intentional workout. And maybe they're just doing it more for fun, but it looks like they're having a blast. So one thing that my family has been doing, and this is a time-lapse video, so you can't really tell what we're doing, but I wanted to get all the kids outside. We didn't change into workout gear. We're doing it in our jeans and such, but I wrote with chalk some of the various movement activities that I wanted to do. So on one side of the driveway, there was walking lunges, shoulder raises, plank jacks, broad jumps, push-ups. On the other side of the driveway, calf raises, bowling squats, tricep dips, plank taps, and caterpillar crawls. And if you don't know what they are, that's fine. You can create your own. But we had a blast doing it together as a family. It only took about 10 or 15 minutes. And you saw that the kids didn't necessarily do all of the workouts, but we're all out there doing something together. And when the children see their parents doing it, they're way more likely to do that, to do the activity with you. This next one here is was actually right before the stay-at-home quarantine happened. So this is Jasmine and her boyfriend. This was a partner challenge that we had done. We have been watching a lot of Frozen 2 per request of the little kids. So I'm sure you could look something up, but this was a challenge I titled, "Do you want to build a snowman?" So Brandon and I had to do 100 jumping jacks combined before we could build the base of our snowman. Then we had to do 90 crunches, not each, but total, before we could build the next base. Then the next one, the next. So it's a fun little partner workout. What are some partner things that you can think of that you could do that could also be creative? And as you saw, the littles, the 7 and 4-year-old did not participate, but they were still out there and they were having a blast. Okay, the final grouping of ideas from the American Heart Association. Maybe while you are doing spelling with your little ones, they're also moving. Maybe while they're reading, they're also running in place or something. I happen to be, I think, better at learning and concentrating when I'm moving. And so I remember even as a little girl, my dad and I would practice spelling words while we were throwing a ball back and forth. But again, what are some ideas of things that you could do that would be short little brain breaks where maybe you set your timer for every 20 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever you think is doable, where, oh yeah, when this timer goes off, I know that I need to get up and I need to move and I need to go do something so that then when I come back, I'm able to concentrate better. So of all of my ideas, they have not all been taken that well. Sometimes there are big fails. I thought that this one would be really, really awesome and that we would all do it and it would kind of be a nice core workout. And in 10 or 20 seconds, they were done. And it wasn't that great and we've never done it again. But again, we were all out. We all did it. We laughed a lot and we had a blast. So what are some things, again, that you can be creative and maybe ask your kids, what do they want to do with you guys? And then last but not least, my daughter, again, this is all with permission. She does not want to dance in the presence of us. If we're around, she won't dance. But if she asks, she can borrow my phone and go set it up in a room that we're not, along with some music. And she creates what she calls her own TikToks. It's not actually on TikTok, but her own music videos. And then later we watch it and she says, "Oh, Mommy, isn't that so great?" But this is 20 minutes later after creating these videos of constant dancing. And so she's getting some amazing workouts in. So I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. I am sure that there are many, many, many more things that you could do, that you could be creative. You could go to gonoodle.com or something like that because there are a lot of options available right now online. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at alissaward@pointloma.edu. Have a good day.